Hello, everybody. Giving you a few minutes to log on. Oh, look, YouTube is alerting all of you that I'm coming on. So I've kind of been inconsistent the last few weeks because of one thing or another. So hopefully we're back on fall routine and fall schedule. So let me know when you are on. Just type in where you're tuning in from. And if this is your first time watching or if you've been watching all along, let me know so you can start putting that in your comments. Also, don't forget to click the thumbs up. Not put a thumbs up in the comment section, but actually click thumbs up somewhere. So, oh, hello, James. How are you? You're the first one to respond to my request. All of a sudden, I need to have an accent. I don't know why. Hello, Sharon. We missed you in person last night. Um, and those of you I'm watching on Facebook, because I see a bunch of you tuning in over there, I always leave Facebook as an option just so that you can tune in and see and hear what YouTube Live is all about. But I don't address or take any questions for anyone who's viewing from the Facebook app or your Facebook whatever page. So if you do have questions and you want to be more interactive with me, then you just go on over to YouTube and look up in the search engine Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon, and my page will come up. Click subscribe, and then you'll be allowed to jump on and watch. So it sounds like it's a lot of steps and it sounds complicated, but it really, really isn't. You all know me, I'm not big into technology. So that part is definitely not difficult. There might be a little tricky to see it on your phone if you're viewing from your phone, which I'm sure most of you are, but it is doable. So if you want to ask a question, go ahead and jump in onto YouTube. Plus, when you join me from YouTube, you'll be able to see my background that I have, what room in my home I'm sitting in. So that's always fun. You on Facebook see this ugly green screen and just yuck behind me. So welcome everybody from YouTube. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for being patient with me as I were a little too sporadic in getting to be able to do the YouTube Live. I have had a lot on my mind, James, and you only know a fraction of it unless you know more that you're not telling me about. But yeah, life has been a lot topsy-turvy, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of like detailed matters needing to tend to, and my son going off to college, and then the next two cave boys coming along and needing all the back to school essentials and getting that ready, and then sliding into starting really back to work, transitioning out of the summer. And then my back went out last week. So that was a very unwelcomed occurrence. And it threw me into literally into instant fear and panic mode because many of you know 2 years ago I was plagued with unknown and undiagnosable back and leg and nerve issues. And it took over a year to figure that out. And I'm still recovering from that, from the nerve damage to my left leg. So when I had this back go out last weekend, I went into panic mode, absolute sheer panic mode, because I just thought, oh my God, here I go again. Here I go again. Even though I knew it was different, I still was like, wow, look at me. I can't walk and I can't stand. And I was in tears, but it was painful, but it was mostly fear. And it's amazing how the body works. And as much as, I know this, I'm still amazed at, I was not giving myself those self-care moments, the doing what I need other than yoga. I'm constantly doing yoga. But other than that, I wasn't doing anything to really nourish myself and fulfill myself. And of course, my body was going to crush under all of these stress and stresses, emotional, physical, mental, financial, spiritual, all the stresses that are fired up right now. So of course my body was going to kick out on me because it was sort of like the last place of it saying, okay, if you're not going to stop, we're just going to stop you. So I have to make a memo to the universe to not allow myself to get to that point because it's painful, and I had to cancel appointments and I had to cancel meditation. I had to cancel YouTube. And then of course my brain spirals into those stresses. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate, but this is this is the world, right? This is what happens. So welcome back to YouTube Live. For those of you who are just joining me, or who have never been on before, tonight is just the night where we get to interact, and we you can ask me questions, and then we can just kind of learn from each other. It's kind of like a Dharma talk. I was trying to like put this into words in my own head. And before the beginning or end of a yoga class, you might get like a little Dharma talk, something to think about, food for thought. And I feel like YouTube Live is a little bit of a Dharma talk. So I like that word, Dharma. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it feels. So this is like Dharma talk with Deb. Yeah, that sounds great. Remember that I want to change my name to Dharma. And do you remember that show many years ago, like in the 90s, I think it was? Dharma and Greg? We could be that. Greg, we could be Dharma and Greg if I just changed my name to Dharma. So guys, just be on the lookout for Deborah Dharma, and we'll see how that goes forward. But thank you guys for completely checking in and asking how I was, and really, really going into that panic mode, because so many of you do know that I had such extensive back issues that anytime my back is out, I freak out. Of course you love that word, Karen. So, um, so yes, feeling much, much better. Lots of yoga, chiropractic treatments, and trying to literally like, okay, Deb, I cannot save the world, and I cannot accomplish everything, and I can't be responsible for everything, and I have to take stuff off my plate, as you all know that we all need to do that. So a couple things before we start. I have a gallery at Poughkeepsie Grand on September 18th. I think it's the only other gallery I have this month. I have dramatically decreased my gallery events, and these events are my large or my audience participation. So I go in front of an audience and I do readings from the other side, and I'm changing a lot of my format to incorporate a lot of intuitive questions, a lot more intuitive questions, and just like practical things that we all can do when we're in a rut, when we're stuck, when we're scared, when we're nervous. And that's why the universe keeps giving me examples to, put me flat on my back so that I can go, gosh, how can I turn this terrible pain into a life lesson that we all can learn from? I'd like to stop that. I'd like to now experience life through a bajillion-dollar lottery ticket, and I will take you all to the Bermuda with me. I will, and we'll have fun, and we'll experience life from that realm. That will be a much better way to understand life. But until then, I have to overprocess, overanalyze, overthink, overfeel everything, and so that I can understand things differently. So September 18th is my next gallery. I don't know how large it'll be, at Poughkeepsie Grand. And then I have a couple, I'm going to be in Albany area at the Polish American Community Center in October. I believe it's October 16th, but it's a Wednesday night in October. So those tickets are going like super crazy fast. So you need to get on those if you wanted to come up to that. What else do I have? Goodwill Fire Department is also in October. That's more local to my area. So just a couple coming up. So you can look into those. I've been telling all of you, I know there's 2 other people. I feel it when I go inward. I'm saying, okay, how many people are going to be registered? How many people should I be expecting? And I know there's 2 other people that need to be pushed into taking the Energy Transformation Awareness class, also known as ETA1. And ETA1 is my most intensive workshop I do of all time. It is more intense than my retreats. My retreats have some downtime to it. They're deep and introspective, but they're fun and have downtime. ETA is fun and introspective, but is extremely, extremely digging. Really, really self realization and self-awareness, and it's fun. And you're going to learn exactly how people who do energy work, how they work, and how you work. I will help you develop a style literally within the first 3 hours, because I'm that damn good of a teacher. I'm not kidding. Because I like to teach you all your way, to find your way in life and with healing. So it's very similar to Reiki 1, where you're going to learn a lot about feeling energy and commanding energy in your hands and placing them and knowing where to heal yourself, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. But then it goes deeper into the energetic ruts based on our conditioning and core beliefs that we are carrying around with us that are mostly unconscious. And these are the tapes that are getting in our way for moving forward or making changes in our lives. And it is unbelievable how one tiny little core belief could make such a massive, massive impact on your entire life. So I don't know if one of the participants who was in my class, I haven't seen her sign on, but that doesn't mean anything. Um, for an example of what I'm talking about is in my last group, I had a woman that realized that her whole life she didn't talk. She held things in and she didn't speak her truth, and she just felt like, I'm not supposed to speak. No one is going to hear me anyway. And through that class, she flashed back to when she was, I believe she said 4 or 5 years old, kindergarten, pre-K. She was a talker and she loved to talk, and she was silly because she was freaking 4 or 5, and she was locked into the closet of the classroom, and she was taught, you are going to be punished if you speak. And that left such trauma in her cells that she then learned, quiet yourself, don't speak up. And then that spilled over into other areas of her life, of course. And here she is, how many decades later, going, oh my God, why don't I ever speak up for myself? And there was a core belief attached to why she was so afraid, because she was punished and terrified because of it. So that's an amazing and terrible example, a sad example of how deeply something that happened in our past can affect us moving forward in our lives. The problem is we don't take the time to really, really feel our way through these things. And because they're so unconscious and so normal, she was like, yeah, no, the teacher locked me in the closet. And the class was like, wait, what? That's not normal. And then you realize, oh my gosh, yeah, I just accepted it as truth and fact, and I just went along with it, and therefore my life happened. So the class really digs on those things. I am working on your intuitive energetic field for 30 hours with you. So people always say, I try to get an appointment. And I always tell them, you can try to get an appointment. They're equally as potentially fulfilling. But in my mind, 30 hours with me to where you do the work and I help you along, way more intense. And I'm sure a lot of you are talking that you took the class, and you can ask other people who take it. So um, look into it. If you feel pulled by it, please look into it. September 13th, it starts this Friday night. It's this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 9 to 2. And then it's on a weekend, off a weekend, on a weekend, off a weekend. So it alternates. Super powerful. And I love teaching it because I love to see people and how they've opened up and changed within a 6-week time frame. So there's my words on that. It's all on my website. You can always email my office at info@beingknowingdoing.com for information on that. And I think that's kind of all I have coming up in the immediate. So, oh no. Well, in the immediate, yeah. In November, we are working on a date with the Barking Goose Book and Bar in Newburgh. Say that 4 times fast. I can't say it once. Barking Goose Book and Bar in Newburgh. And I'm going to be the book of the month. And you read the book and then we come and discuss it. So it's a book club, but it's with the author with you. So highlight your book, start really looking at questions and things that you really want me to go over, because I'll be available then. For those of you who are far, because it'll be on a Sunday evening around 6-ish. And it's literally a mile from my center. It's that close. But if you are tuning in far, we are looking into possibly doing an online version as well. So look into that and email and, ask me questions about that coming up. So let's see. Jamie, yes, you can email my office for that. Absolutely. So I just saw your question. Absolutely. Hello, Laura. How are you? Cindy, yes, Cindy has taken the ETA class. She said if I could be a fly on the wall for those classes. I always say that if the walls of my center could talk, it's got nothing on like the CIA because FBI things that are coming out of that office, people just don't say and get to say, and that's why I love the energy of my entire center. And Jamie, yes, this is the first one. The first group is starting this weekend. So it's the first of 3 weekends. All those dates are on my website. Kyle said it's a tad bit of an emotional bloodbath, but then again, you cooked beets tonight, and that looked like a literal bloodbath. Yeah. Why'd you cook beets? I'm pretty impressed with that alone. You should be vibrating at a very high level because it's beets. Beets are beets. They're amazing. So let me just back up here. Let me see if there's any questions. Yes, Jamie C, I'm telling you, YouTube Live is much better. You're right. And it is worth seeing the background. Oh, let's see. Hello, Maria. It's good to see you here. Thank you. I am feeling better. Lisa, I'm so glad you're tuning in. You've been on my mind. Let's see. Kim, hello. Melanie, hello. You like my scarf? Why, thank you. I think this is from, yes, this is from The Loft and Taylor The Loft. I love that store too. Okay, let's see. So questions tonight are not about personal intuitive questions, although I always leave that option open. So maybe more closer to the end, I'll open that, but I typically don't. So this format isn't like, oh yeah, she's going to answer all our questions on a personal intuitive level. This is more like generic, big picture things that you've always want to ask an intuitive. So let's see. That's right, Cindy, you could always retake the class. So let's see. Oh, Cindy, I'm ready for you if you're ready for it. Oh my gosh, what happened? Hold on. I've got to. Oh my God, Kathy Mills. Hello, how are you? It's good to see you here. Hello, Lee and Yvette. Oh my God, Jack. My Jack is tuning in. Oh my God. From college. My little baby bear from college. So Jack has 2 biologies and 2 labs and a lot of work. So what's on your mind that you all have? We'll start with you, Dan Diane. Your question from a couple of weeks ago, can guardian angels be live human beings? Absolutely. That is a phenomenal, great question. Yes, absolutely. In form of human beings. I'm assuming you mean that there's the concept of guardian angels, and they are entities, if you will, that are otherworldly. But then there's guardian angels that are someone who could be here in the physical, who thwarts or protects or saves other people, and they are still in the physical. So absolutely, your guardian angels can be live human beings. Absolutely. So expand on that if you have like an additional question to that, because I feel like there's more to that. So yeah, I can't believe Jack is now asking me an intuitive question, and he is asking, should I stay in school or find something else to do? That'd be stay in school. Stay in school. You're going to get through it. Jack is experiencing right now when things get a little rough and things get a little tough and it doesn't feel good and we don't like doing it, but we have to do it anyway. And I think it's really good for you, Jack, that you're going through that. I do. It's not, you have all the support and love and help, both physical, financial, emotional, mental, that you need. So you just have to keep putting one foot before the other, doing the right thing, not climbing out on the window at night out of your dorm, and stay calm and always ask for help, my love. So you have to ask from your teachers. I'm not saying like me for your biology homework, but you've got to reach out and do that. So yeah, you should stay in school. You're going to be completely fine once you get over the initial shock of, oh my God, there's way too much freaking work. And I've seen what Jack has for work. And it's terrible. When I saw your schedule, I was like, oh boy, we're in for a really rough landing. But the good thing is you're getting a lot of these really, really difficult classes all at once out of the way in the beginning. So next semester, we will make sure that you take a lesser load. I love that everyone's saying hi to Jack. 3 biologies. I'm sorry, Jack. 3 biologies he's taking. That's hell. That is hell on earth. Are you kidding me? Okay. So, yes. Good, Dan. Diane, I thought so. You read in your Angels magazine. Yes. Let's see. Greg, very well said. Do you want to work in attics like he does? Stay in school. Let's see. Holly, let's see. Deborah, any tips on telling the difference between what's really intuition or just a little paranoia from past trauma or overthinking? This is a phenomenal, great question. Holly, are you Holly with the 4 little girls? Is this that Holly? Just let me know if that's you. Your brand new little infant. Let me know if that is you. So let's see. This is a really common question that we deal with a lot at meditation and in all my intuitive classes, is that sometimes you can't tell. That's just plain and simple. Sometimes you just cannot tell the difference between am I just going over my old tape, my old conditioning. It's not you. Okay. But anyway, I'm still answering your question. So sometimes just know that you're just not going to know. However, it takes work, it takes study, it takes doing it, it takes repetition to know what your firm energetic or intuitive feelings are. And all of us do a little exercise right now, and you can expand on this. And I think I've done this here before, but it's worth doing over and over and over. So some people use pendulums to get a yes or no. I don't like using any sort of external tool because people use cards, pendulums, they use all sorts of different external things. And I don't like that because my thought is, what if I don't have those things available to me? Then I can't really use my intuition. So I always like to teach that you are your own instrument for intuition, and you are the best instrument for intuition, especially as soon as you learn how you receive intuitive information. And it is a practice. This is all I do for a living, and I have a very good instinct, a very good intuitive side, a very good gut, as they say. And there have been many times where I didn't listen to it. And there have been times where I've been significantly wrong. Not that many, though. I'm just going to put that out there. No, I'm just kidding. So just know. So I'm going to say, you're going to ask your body to visualize and imagine the word yes. Just see it, feel it, hear it, the word yes. And then I want you to associate a color with it. What color pops up for a yes? And just feel it, see it, imagine it. First thing that comes to your mind or vision, that's the color. Then I want you to feel within your body how yes moves through your body. What does a yes feel like to your body? Excuse me. And where do you feel that in your body? And then I want you to take the word no. And same thing. I want you to feel the word no, see the word no, how it's written. Maybe the fonts of the yes and the no are different. Maybe they're not. And then see and associate a color with the word no, whatever comes up. And usually it doesn't make sense. You just whatever comes up. And then feel how a no moves through your body. Then ask yourself, using your own given name, ask, I would say, is my name Deborah? And I would ask myself that question, is my name Deborah? And I get a yes. One, I know my name is Deborah, my given name, but I want to feel what that truth feels like. Feel what known given truth feels like. I know what that feels like right now. And then I can ask myself, is my name Greg? The answer to that I know is no, my name is not Greg. So I feel how that feels in my body. This takes practice, but you might be getting it right now. And then when you ask the bigger questions, should I go back to school? You get a yes or you get a no. So you play with this. Some things start very, very simple. I feel my way through everything. I feel how different months feel. I feel time. I feel personalities. I feel things. So like if someone says like, am I going to go back to school, Deborah? And I'll get a yes or no. I'll say, yes, you will. So then of course my next question is, for what? For what? What are they going back to school? And then I'll see like, oh, Red Cross. Oh, they're doing something in healthcare. You're going back to be a nurse and it's something to do with healthcare. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just don't know when I should go back. So then I ask, when should I go back? And I feel my way. Is it September? Is it October? Is it November, December, January, February? And I go through every month until I feel the month that makes it clear. So it takes work. And as the more you do it, it just becomes instant. But it's a practice. So that's on a simple level. That's like intuitive development 101 that I always teach. So you could practice that, continue that. Then things like intuition about other people, that gets a little trickier because your conditioning and what we want to believe versus what is true is difficult, especially when we're coming from a place of, say it's a relationship and we really want this person to be who we need them to be. We'll kind of coax our intuition to say, oh my gosh, I think this is definitely, oh my gosh, this person definitely feels right. And you really know it's not. You know it, you're coaxing it. So it takes very much self-awareness, self-honesty. People don't like that part. And realize like, yeah, I really wanted that to be more than it was. And something did tell me not to go with so-and-so or go for that job or go whatever. So it takes awareness, it takes skill, it takes practice, it takes quieting your mind, it takes silence, it takes space. So it is absolutely possible to know the difference and grow out of it, but it's the bigger questions and the bigger tuning in requires an enormous amount of self-awareness that then you can't lie to yourself. And when you can't lie to yourself, then the intuition is much more spot on. So great question. I love this. I love that you're asking it. It's very common. I had a person in just today that was asking that very, very same question of like, how do I know? And then sometimes we just don't. Sometimes we just don't. Sometimes it is harder to get an intuitive sense for ourselves because we get in the way. We get in our own way. I get in my own way. So excellent question and good luck. I hope that answers it. So those of you on Facebook, just let me remind you that I don't answer any questions on Facebook only because it's harder. The font is way smaller and I can't see it that far. So if you want to engage with me and ask a question, then you can have to log on to my YouTube channel. So how do you do that? You go to YouTube, in the search bar, put in Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon, and then there should be a subscribe button. You click subscribe. You'll be notified when I'm coming on, which is once a week. I was going to say once a month. No, once a week. And then you'll be able to interact with me more personally. But Regina, thank you for that comment. That one I can see. So Melissa, are animals guardian angels also? Absolutely. Animals hold such an important role in our lives energetically. And we all know that. We all know that your pets are just like your little loves. So absolutely. Okay. Oh, Lee. Oh my gosh, that is a very rough week for you. So I'll be sending you energy. Susan, any advice on how to help yourself when you're grieving? Oh my gosh, that's oops, hold on. Let me move all this stuff around. What is that? I have all the stuff on my screen. Let me move everything away. Okay. A portion of my book deals with grieving and loss, so I would say absolutely grab that. I think you said you've already had it. I've recognized your name on this, but Unfortunately, grieving is one of those things that there's no manual. There never will be a manual. It becomes, you know, your way and how you're doing things. And the problem with grief is that everyone experiences it differently and at different times. So some people need to surround themselves with lots and lots of people and things and events and busy themselves. Other people need to isolate themselves. And the people who busy themselves think the people who are isolating themselves are doing it wrong, or vice versa. And then you start getting into your head. Because when you're grieving, you cannot make yourself feel differently. People will say, well, you have to fake it till you make it, and you have to change your thoughts, and you have to just not harp on it and think on it. I disagree with that. I say, no, sometimes you need to sit and wallow in it and be really, really, really devastated, because that's where you are. And when we fight what we really are feeling, then we're only resisting it, and more of that will happen and we won't move through it. So grief is nasty. It is nasty. I will tell you that as you are grieving and as you start taking steps to learn a little bit more about yourself, and to honor those feelings and give yourself the space and learn how to ask for help and when, there will be an enormous amount of self-growth that comes out of grieving. And that is why I love death so much. And that sounds nuts, but the potential for growth occurs like no other than after someone we love dies, because it forces us to look at life a whole other way. We don't want it. Nobody wants it. But for those that do seek, like you are, if I could already tell, because if you're tuning into this, you're already trying something. And so that's saying you're making a step. Um, so you will benefit from it. It does change you. I would caution you against anyone who has the way, promises the way. This is the way that's going to solve your grief. I would caution anyone that has the way to anyone about anything. So sometimes we're so desperate in grief that we're willing to just hear anything and believe anything and do anything just because it kind of like numbs the pain short term. So I would be mindful of anything that disempowers you, anything that where people say like, oh, mediumship, this is when I don't like what I do. I know a lot of people as mediums will say, oh, come back in a month and we'll do more. And I'll say, you need to grieve. So just make sure you stay empowered as much as you possibly can. You're the better expert on your grief than anyone ever will be. In that, asking for help from really good experts in any field will help you. So it's a terrible time. I know a lot of people on here will completely relate to you, and talking to people who can relate sometimes helps. Not all the time, but sometimes. Oh, Grace, you are on here. I see you now. Okay, let's see. Yes, Noreen, that's a good question too. Do our loved ones who've passed keep their human qualities? Your young son commented that your dad is still doing projects after he went to heaven. The thought made me smile. Absolutely. So yes and no. The yes is, and I explain this in my readings all the time, that if you have like a family member who's very private, very quiet, very shy, or someone who does not speak or interact a lot, they are going to come through in a reading exactly as you knew them to be in human form, because that is part of their identity. So if you are hoping to hear from a family member who never really was very communicative before, and then you're disappointed that you go for a reading and they're still not communicative, that's actually a good reading, because they're not going to change. Because if I describe that person who's very quiet and shy as like, oh my gosh, he's talking my ear off, holy crap, he won't be quiet, you're going to be like, that's weird. They were so not like that here. So they will always keep the human characteristics and personalities they had here, because it is a part of their identifier. But with that, sometimes they'll show when they're suicidal. They'll show that they're sad or they're very down. That does not mean they are still in that human space, but they come through as their human self with their human characteristics. And yes, he's still doing projects, or yes, they're racing cars, or whatever it is they liked here. They will express it like, yes, they're still doing that as part of their identity, but it's not quite as literal as we like to believe? That's a great question. Let's see. Oh, Maria, you always ask questions. Can angst between two people living in the present possibly be carryover from a past life? Absolutely. Absolutely. We carry threads and, strands of old bits. Not every single person we meet is a carryover from a past life, but the really intense relationships, the relationships we can't let go of, the relationship that we must be in, the those like high vibrational, either really really good or really really not good, are can be, I won't say they all are, but can be absolutely a carryover from past life stuff. I'm dealing with that right now, and I am literally in the midst of severing one final strand of a past life attachment that I cannot wait to be completely like, bloop, we're done, bye bye, go with God, but go. So yeah, absolutely. And it's usually it's just usually really an intense relationship, intensely passionate. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't even necessarily have to be bad. Or it could be one of those things where you're like, God, why are we always at each other? What is this? And it's because there's a lot of strands that pop up. So what do you do about it? Once you recognize it, there's a non-attachment that has to start getting pulled away, and the circumstances around each particular relationship will differ. So you have to just pay attention to what parts are you hooked on, and how can you unhook yourself from them, and them you, because if you're feeling it, they're feeling it too on the same vibe. They most likely want to be unhooked too. So we don't like to think that. We like to think always like, oh, I need to be done with this person. Like I'm thinking that currently. But that person wants to be freed from me too. Like this doesn't feel good. So we need to be unhooked from each other. So I'm going to help this person out, and I'm going to hook the shit out of both of us. So there we go. There is my spiritual pep talk. It's possible. Anyway, yes, that'll be on the next bracelet. Unhook the shit out of each other. That's perfect. Okay, let's see. Yes, Sharon. So exactly, like going off of Noreen's. Yes, your friend would still be doing that. Is it literal? Not necessarily, but is he still doing that? He is. Okay. So Kimberly, another great question. Kim asks, is there any insight on why souls choose to leave the womb and not be born, resulting in miscarriage or loss? What are some of the reasons they choose not to enter this plane? Many different kinds of reasons, many, 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 many. One could be that it's kind of like been there, done that. I don't need to come in, and they choose not to. Always, their choice and their path is linked with yours, the mother. So the mother that either has to choose to abort a baby, or a mother that has a miscarriage, you're also linked into that kind of life lesson. Like you both needed to complete the circle together. So not only are they choosing not to stay, but that mother chose to have a pregnancy come through her that didn't go all the way to the end, or that mother had to make that decision. Although I always say mothers aren't really the deciding factors of that. It's the soul. So the soul will pick a mom that they already know is going to terminate a pregnancy, because that's why they chose that mother at the time, because they say, I don't want to stay. So I'm going to pick her because I know she can't keep me right now for whatever reasons. And they're not sad about it. I actually call terminated pregnancies, I call them angel babies, because they're so significant. So other reasons could be, oh my gosh, anything and everything. Not their time. They didn't want to be there, didn't need to be there. Their soul just wanted to pop in and go out. They wanted to give that female that quote unquote lesson or that contract. So they're kind of like a sacrifice on their end in a way. So there's many, many different reasons. So that is a very good question. Let's see. Casey, what else do you have to look up? We'll put things down below. Okay. So you're welcome, Holly. Let's see. Oh, Carolyn, thank you. She says if you get Deb's book, you'll want to read it over and over. I read that thing like 18,000 times and I never want to read it again. No, I'm only kidding. I still have to re-record it. I recorded. It took me over 30 something hours to record the book for an audiobook. And then I was told that my mic was too hot and they could hear like my stomach growling, they could hear any little noise, and they can't like edit it out. So I have to redo the entire book. And I had like a breakdown last year when I heard that, and I haven't returned to that. So eventually I will. Maria, yes, you find that grief distanced you from people. I see that much more frequently, that people distance each other, or you really start to, that saying, you find out who your friends are, your true people are. I think anytime we're going through something rough in our lives, and the people that leave or the people that respond in a weird way, versus the people that are like right by your side, that's a blessing. That is a blessing that you say, okay, it's painful. It's a painful one when you see certain people not behaving in the way that you needed them to, but it is ultimately a blessing. But I'm a distancer in general. So when I'm upset, I distance myself and I need the quiet time and alone time. Some people will say, no, my whole family's worried about me. It depends. Sometimes it does get worrisome. But for the most part, I think a lot of people need that. Let me just have my time by myself. I just need to process this. So let's see. Yeah, don't forget to put thumbs up. Not thumbs up in the comment, but like somewhere on your screens, there's a thumbs up. If you want to, of course. Let's see. I'm reading. You guys are all talking amongst yourselves. It's hilarious. La, 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 la. James, explain that a little bit more. You moved and you flipped the script, but there is something missing. The energy of my deceased relatives, not a zip. Why is my energy causing it? Nope, I get it now. It's probably that you're overly panicked because of the move, thinking that because you moved, they're moved. You're not in a environment that you had memories with them. So a lot of times our memories keep us so we think emotionally safe and connected, but it's not really that really does it. So moving always messes with our belief of whether our loved ones are around or approving or not. So give it some time. I know you just moved, so give it time. And anytime you don't feel your loved ones, any of you, it does not mean that they're not around you at all. It just means you're being really human. There's other stuff in your way that need to be tended to. So remember that like footprints in the sand with Jesus and like the footprints, and when I was going through a really hard time, there's only one, how come you're not beside me? And it was like Jesus was like, duh, that's when I was carrying you. I feel like it's the same way, almost, only it's when I really needed you, where were you? And we're so desperate in that spot that it's harder for us to see and feel them and experience them. So don't think they're not there, because they always are. They're always that energetic email or text away through your mind. Let's see. Ooh, hello, Donna. Oh, you're going out to California, my resident travel agent. Oh my gosh. Karen, is your energy not allowing your past child to come through? No, not at all. That's another great question. Super important, because a lot of times mothers in particular, parents in general, but mothers in particular, do not feel their children around them. Most mothers do not dream of their children. I hear that 98% of the time. Yes, mothers have had dreams and do feel them, but for the most part, you don't, because you're so losing a child is a grieving in a category of its own, and it has its own subsets of all sorts of branches and issues that come up internally for yourself. So do not mistake that they aren't around you. just because you don't feel them. Again, you're being human and you're just not able to get past the loss of the physical self. And as physical beings, we want physical connections. That's just the way we operate. So we have a spirit self, it's our soul, it's our energetic self, but we're operating mostly 99.9999 times out of the times out of the whatever, we're operating out of our human self and not our spiritual self. So our spiritual self is not able to connect with the spiritual self of the souls of those who've passed. So it's just you being human. I promise you that. I was just talking about to someone today in my office that someone said, "Oh my gosh, all these people said they felt their dad." They were particularly talking about their father, and they felt their dad immediately when they passed, and I've never felt him. And what am I doing wrong? Is he upset with me? And it's not that. It's that you are being human, and it is much more normal and natural, and sometimes much more healthy for you not to feel them, because no matter who we need to go through the physical separation grief. We have to. So I'm a medium. I know this works out. I know how this works. I have zero doubts of how this all works. And when I lose someone close, I'm still going to have to feel the loss of them. Spiritual connection will not be enough for us when we're here in the physical. We're happy it's at least that, but it's not enough. So don't confuse that for sure, Karen. Marge, you said, let me know how, Deb, but I didn't see your question of how to what. So just let me know of that. I gotta put my fan on here. It's hot. I was freezing before. I don't even know how to work my fan. Hold on a second. Oh, it's a nice little sweet sound. I bet you guys can't even hear it. I think I'll move it up here. It's not a hot flash. It's hot down here. All the lights get hot. So yeah, Marge, let me know the rest of your question. Casey, oh, okay, toxic family. Yeah, join the club. Would our loved ones that have passed want us to be happy or keep family together? They want us healthy. They want us sane. They want us in our truths. They want us to be open and honest. They want us to call ourselves out on our own crap. We're not free from not looking at our own side. But at the end of the day, if you're going to do all the work and another family wants no part of doing the work, nobody wants that. That's a disconnect. It's like a spine out of place. It's not going to be good. So they want us happy. Of course they want us all together, but they want us happy. And don't forget that the moment they passed, they will have already seen any discord that's coming in the future, stuff that we're not even aware of yet. They will already know it's coming. So they're not going to be as surprised with it as you are, because they're in a space where that lacks all time. And so they can see all of the past, the current moment, the present, and all of the future coming up. So a lot of times they will allude to that in a session. They will say like, yeah, no, I don't know, this whole thing with your brother, or this whole thing with Aunt so-and-so. And, they'll show that. So ultimately take care of yourself. Again, adopt self-honesty, self-truth. Look at what is your way. Try to make those connections and the communication open. Try to hear each other out. But if only one person in a dynamic is doing all that, then you have to just put it to rest and say, okay, I'm not going to do all the work for everybody. And that's really important. That comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in life, unfortunately. Cindy Webb, it's been a long time to see you here. How do you know if a dream is a visitation or just strong emotions coming through? So I always tell people, I wrote this in my book, a dream, a visitation, is when they come to you and they're either acting like they don't know they passed, or they're kind of like flippant, like, of course I'm passed, but I'm here with you all the time. They're smiling, they're happy, they're glowing, they're engaging in like current activity. They're very peaceful. They're connecting, they're talking to you, they're engaging with you, they're hugging you, they're apologizing. Those are all visitations. The other types of dreams I call are projection dreams. when they're upset or lost, or they don't know that they're dead, or they don't want to talk to you, or they're mean, or they're shunning you, or you're trying to get to them and they won't answer, or you have picking up a phone and they won't answer the other side, or anything that feels disconcerting and like, oh my God, what's wrong with them or me, that is a projection dream. And a projection dream is just that. It's your grief being projected onto, or your anxiety or stress of the moment being projected onto them. It does not mean that they're responsible for that grief. So it doesn't mean that you will see your dad and you're so worried because you didn't get to say goodbye to him. It could be like Uncle Lou that you didn't even know shows up in a dream and he's all angry, and that's your stuff that's being projected on someone who's passed. So my point is, it doesn't have to even be someone significant in your life to have a projection and or visitation dream. But that is how you know. David, hello. Wow, my buddy David is tuning in. Our buddy David. The world's buddy David. Okay. Darlene, you had very vivid dreams. That's what I don't know why I was saying that. You have very vivid dreams each night when I stayed at your son's apartment. Could the 1600 cemetery behind the building have impacted my dreams? I normally don't have consistent dreams. Yeah, they could have impacted it. Absolutely. Now everyone's like, shit, I don't want to be near a cemetery. So I'm going to share something I have not yet shared with Greg. But Greg's house, he has another house. He's renting it. And he's been at it for weeks and weeks. And I would stop by and drop things off or whatever. And his house is next door to a cemetery. And when he lived there, I don't necessarily remember like feeling that or even thinking that that was like a thing. But one day, and Greg, it was when I was working in the office den area of your house. I cannot tell you how many energies kept coming to my mind, and it was making me crazy because I'm like, what the heck? I kept seeing people like out of the corner of my eye, and I kept seeing this, and I kept hearing this, I kept feeling this, I kept hearing a man cough, all this stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I was getting crazy, and then I was like, oh my God, there's a cemetery across the street. Like literally, it'll take me 10 paces to get into the cemeteries. That's how close it is. So yes, cemeteries absolutely have fantastic energy. It's not bad. There's never bad energy. I'll always say that a million times. It's not scary. It's not creepy, but I don't know why I was feeling it that day. I have no idea. It was annoying me. I didn't even think of it. It's not like I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm a medium and I'm seeing dead people. I never think like that. I'm painting a freaking room. I'm hot. I'm trying to get it done. And I keep getting my mind like intercepted by other information. And that's what it was. And as soon as I acknowledged it, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I was kind of playing with it. Like, oh, who's coming up next? Who's this? And it was in my mind. I wasn't saying it out loud. Greg would have been like, what the hell are you doing? What are you talking to? But it became fun. And then it slowed down after that because I was tuning into it. So yes, a cemetery absolutely could trigger more awareness. Absolutely. Oh, Sharon, hello. Thank you for talking about the ETA class. She writes, the ETA class is incredible. There's so many amazing breakthroughs in record time. Great people, great support. And Deb, of course. Absolutely do it. So the other thing is that you're just going to feel so bonded to these people that are complete strangers. I don't let family members take it together, although the last time I did have a mother-daughter and it felt right, it felt fine to do that, but I do not want family members or friends to take it together. I want you to come in completely, quote unquote, alone, because that adds to being able to be open and fresh. So thank you, Sharon. Jamie, do you think that grieving someone who is living is the same as someone that isn't, like in a relationship? Abso-fucking-lutely. Sometimes it's a little more painful in some ways because our mind, grieving someone who's crossed is torture because you know there's not another opportunity to have with them in the physical, and that's excruciating. But grieving someone's loss or death, even though they're still here, is excruciating because they're still here, and you always still think there's that chance, or maybe this, or maybe if I did this differently, and maybe I can do this, and maybe this. So yes, it is absolutely very, very similar. In fact, I wrote this about this a little bit in my book too. Had a family member that I was super close to. I mean, was my absolute hands down best friend, and that relationship blew up, and there was no resolution, and there was no discussion about it, and it just fell apart, and that person's still here and I'm still here. And the grieving that went on for me with that relationship was excruciating, but that grieving taught me more about grief and loss than anything else in my life. So 7 years later, I think it is, or 8 years later now, um, now I see like, oh, okay, I understand it. Didn't like it, still don't like it, but feel okay with the process and understanding like this. Oh, I get why this all had to happen and be, but it's absolutely very painful. Okay. Noreen, that's a great follow-up question. Noreen writes, why does loss make most people feel so uncomfortable? I've lost many relationships because I honor my grief and losses. People don't know what to do. People don't know what to say. People feel inadequate. No one likes to feel useless and can't help. A lot of people, I'm shocked by this. A lot of people don't like emotion. So they're too scared, like, oh, I wanted to say something about your so and so, but I didn't want to make you sad. Like, honey, I'm sad all the time. There's nothing you can say that's going to make me sad. So people are really uncomfortable with true raw emotion, their own, and people think they're a little bit more powerful and like, oh, I didn't want to trigger you. It's like, no, you're fine. So that's annoying. And that's part of the benefit, I think, again, of the grieving process is, again, the people that fall away that are so uncomfortable. It's not that they're bad, it's not ignorant, it's who they are, what needs to happen at that time. But it becomes really helpful to you, because at the end of the day, human beings only operate best when you have 20 people. And I don't mean 20 close people. I mean 20 people is what we're supposed to be, in groups of 20, which is frightening, because think of the world, think of the internet. I mean, there's 50 of you logged on right now. We have almost tripled our maximum of connection and the way we work best. So too much input, too much interaction is too much for the nervous system of the human being. So losing people is never a bad thing. Losing people in the physical is never a bad thing. It hurts and we don't like it, and we don't like when it's unexplained and ends poorly. But at the same time, it ultimately works out for the best. The more self-learning and growth and awareness you are creating for yourself, it will always work out for you. If you choose not to look at your stuff, it'll never work out for you. And you might be able to kind of fake it till you make it, fake it till you think you're going to be fine, but it always catches up. So self-awareness, honoring where you're at, that's completely super, super powerful in moving forward. Do most people come through saying they guided us to find you to help us through loss? Oh my God, that would be really cool. No, they don't. They don't give a shit about me. No. No, I haven't heard that, but I like that. That's nice. My ego's like, oh, that's so nice. You think, oh, they made me find you. That's going to make me go to sleep with warm and fuzzy, like, people like me. I always tell my kids that. Some people really like me and think I'm really cool. I haven't heard that. No. But I don't think, here's the thing too. Let me just be real on that. If I did hear that, like say someone on the other side was like, Deborah, I knew it had to be you to give these messages. There's no way I would tell them that, because I would think I'm being such an egotistical asshole that I would keep that to myself, even if I did, because I would never be like, yes, they guided you to me because I am the North Star. No, I don't I don't have that big of an ego. I know what I know, and I know when I'm right, and I know what I feel, and I can be an asshole with those things, but I'm also not an asshole. You will, if you're seeking and you're gonna get help, you're gonna find whoever it is that's gonna help you. So, but thank you. I love that question. I'm gonna like screenshot it and take a picture and post it later and be like, oh my God, look. So thank you, Mel. Um, Oh, Danielle, good question. Do animals in dreams symbolize loved ones that have passed recently, such as a lion inside your house? I don't, okay, could. It definitely could. It doesn't necessarily mean like all lions mean someone who passed, but if you say you had someone in your life who was a Leo and it was a joke that they were this big classic Leo sign, and then you have a dream about a lion, then I would say absolutely that's a correlation. So it would be a little bit more digging into um, the correlation, but there's no absolute like all cardinals are loved ones. It's not true. Not all cardinals are loved ones, although for those of us who have a connection with a cardinal and a loved one, then that is a connection. But there's no such thing as a universal one. So yes, lion inside your house, if someone had, there was a correlation with lions in some way, then I would say yes. Let's see. What, David, you said what other window faces the cemetery as well? All right, so Greg is correcting me because it's not 10 steps. Okay, he's saying it's 150 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the very big difference between Greg's brain and my brain. My brain can understand universal principles, and I can understand and pluck out of the ether tangible things that help people. Greg knows factual dimensions and here and now. We are completely two opposite brains in every level on this. We have the same moral compass, very different brains. Holy crap. So he's saying it is 150 yards. I have no idea what 150 yards is. I know the distance from his house to the cemetery, but apparently it's 150 yards. So now, Greg, calculate how many of my steps that would take, just so I can be as precise as needs to be on how to get to the cemetery. So 150 yards, 10 really big, mother may I take 10 big steps. And David is laughing. You assholes. I love you both and I hate you both. I love cemeteries too, Sharon. I love really old cemeteries. There is a cemetery going from Newburgh up to Albany, and it's like off to the side from the thruway, and there's a big huge tree, tiny little hill, and there's maybe 15 stones there, and I want to stop every single time I pass it. I want to stop and just be at this little cemetery because I find it so powerful. So I love it too. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, Maria, it is comfortable to see people, like to feel, to know that people are there. I love cemeteries too. Cemeteries are always for the living. The deceased are not like, oh man, I can't wait to get into my comfy bed. No, they're not. They are not connected to the cemetery. We are connected because it is the last physical place that we can go to say that we go to them. But we don't need cemeteries. They don't need cemeteries. And it's completely for the living. But I love cemeteries. I think it's really important for the living to have a location or a place or a space. So even that's ashes in the house, like to feel like, oh, I have a physical piece, because we do operate in the physical. Is it necessary? No, we don't need it to connect with them or to know that they're around. But I think for our grieving and the way we're wired as humans, that's important. Let's see. How are we doing? You like the word, you like my use of the word fuck. That's good. I also like the use of the word fuck. Yes. David and Greg, be quiet. For those of you on Facebook, they're bantering back and forth and whatever. whatever. Oh yeah, the video. I'll tell you. Okay, so Pam, don't be nervous about ETA. I mean, be nervous about ETA, but don't be nervous about ETA. So real quick, um, if those of you like Tiffany Jenkins, I think it's called Juggling the Jenkins. She's a recovering addict, she's a mom, and she does these amazing videos of real life stuff. And if you don't know this woman, Google her. She's got like a bajillion followers. Um she is so real and so freaking funny. And she describes about how like she has OCD and she has anxiety, and like she does all these skits about like the different components of her brain, and she's just absolutely hilarious. And she made a skit called Understanding Your Wife 101. And in it, she's dressed like as the teacher, and then she dresses up as the men in her class. And she goes through things that just make me laugh about the very marked differences between men and women. Like she says, okay, men, what would you say if your wife asked you, would you like to watch a movie with me tonight? And the guy's like, sure. Yeah, whatever. I'll watch a movie with you. And she's like, wrong. No, that was the wrong answer. And he was like, why was that the wrong answer? And she's like, you're supposed to make us feel that you want to watch a movie with us. You're supposed to be like, wow, babe, I love that idea. I would love to watch a movie with you. And that stuff makes me laugh so hard because that's true. She talks about how if a woman says, no, don't worry about it, I got it. She said, worry about it like you've never worried before. And I just think that is hilarious because it's true. It's like, no, don't worry about it. I got it. You're dead. Worry about it. Worry about you. Worry about every bit of you. Yeah, it's true. So look up Juggling the Jenkins. Her name is Tiffany Jenkins. Just subscribe to her stuff because she is hilarious and she's real. And she's great for people who suffer with anxiety and depression. And she's a recovering addict. And she's hilarious. So let's see. Melanie, you still choose to believe you were guided to meet me. So you could help me, which you did. I get a resounding yes. Red on it. Love it. All right. I'll let you do that. Let's see. Sharon is coaxing and letting Pam know. Sharon was nervous. You should be nervous, but it should be a good nervous. It's a good nervous. And you're right. Greg and David are saying that I don't even watch movies, that I would never ask Greg, would you watch a movie tonight? Because I wouldn't. I hate watching movies, for those of you who know. I don't want to sit still and watch something that I already know the ending, and I already know the different plots, and I already know this person is this, and that I can't stand it. I feel like I'm going to crawl out of my skin. So I like documentaries. I like when I'm learning something. I like those type of things. Or I like stupid little backgammon on my phone. Mindless backgammon. I just check out. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here tonight. It's late and a lot of you are staying around. So I want you to give you homework for the next week of practicing the yes and a no and practicing the way things feel to you. Start with just yes and no. I think that's the best way to do it. But you're going to start to feel your way through things versus think your way through things. And we're going to really do this this weekend at ETA, Pam. So for those of you who are ready, and Bobby K is signed up as well. We'll be doing a lot of this. We'll be doing a really fun exercise this week. So this week is just more of a meet and greet and get to know each other and all that stuff. It's also a very intimate small group. So that's always nice too. Let's see. Liz, Mindful Yoga with Liz. I love that. Is my October calendar up yet? No. So here's the thing, and I'm glad you mentioned it. So normally at the end of the month, I open my appointment calendar for the following month. Michelle and I meet regularly on this topic because every month we open the calendar and then the appointments go, and then we get irate emails and phone calls, and people hate me and my system, and then they say, I suck and I'm horrible. One person said they were going to threaten to call the Better Business Bureau on me, so that was fun. I was like, because I'm not giving you an appointment, I'm like, the universe is protecting me then. If you're so angry already, I probably don't want to read you. But anyway, so that always makes me like, oh my God, I really do try. So the way I realized that if I open the calendar at the end of the month, sometimes that only gives people a day or two to jump into that, say if I open it September 30th, October 1st, that only gives you a day sometimes to go, oh my God, I have to call into work or I have to do this or that. So I do try to think of your schedules because I know it's not easy to take off of work. I really only do sessions during the week. So they are during weekdays between 9 and 3. So what we're doing is in the middle-ish of September at some point, we will open up October's. So I will always open it about a week, 2 weeks before the new month starts. So that way we give you a little bit time to make arrangements for that appointment if you need to. So if you want an appointment, you have to be on my mailing list to receive the alert that goes out saying, hey, tomorrow at such and such time, we're opening up the appointment calendar. Because I don't announce that on Facebook. I don't announce it to social media whatsoever. And I don't even know when Michelle's doing it at this point. Michelle schedules the dates. Michelle puts the post out and then it just opens. So all of a sudden, randomly on whatever night, I'll go, oh, Michelle opened my calendar because I get bleep, bloop, 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 bloop emails like crazy coming to my phone. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh, calendar opened. So roughly mid-September, she will open up for October. And then once they're filled, which they will all be filled that night, once they're filled, it's closed until now mid-October for November. So that's how we do it. So Monday night, I'm going to let you all go in private. Let's see, are you going to include a meeting for all the people who did the class on mediumship? Are we going to include a meeting? What do you mean include a meeting? I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of what did I say about having a meeting? So just clarify that, Susan, real quick for me. Holly, absolutely. Cutting ties with a family member could feel like a death. Absolutely. I know it was for me. It was a death for sure. So yeah, I do like your name of your business, Liz. So everyone have a good night. Those of you who are questioning or curious about ETA, if you're a little bit like, I'm kind of curious about what this is, read about it on my website, email me. We'll give you all the information. You could sit with it. If it feels right, great. If it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Always listen to your gut. But I just feel like there's 2 other people that are going to be signing up last minute. So we'll see how that is. And I welcome everyone. Meditation schedule will be, meditation will be coming back on schedule. I have nothing in October right now because I'm working every single weekend in October. So I'm not adding meditation just yet. A follow-up meeting for you guys. So we will have more mediumship classes. I loved the way that one went. That was the best one I've ever done. The way I was able to boil it down finally was real quick. People were picking up stuff. So I will do that again. A development circle you're talking about. Yes. Hi, that's right. Nothing will be able to happen until November. My October is stupid busy. It always is. Every year, October is stupid busy. So I've booked every square inch of every hour that I have working wise for October. So thank you, Susan. So keep on the lookout for the development circle. Even email my office just to keep it on my brain, because if it doesn't go on the calendar now, it's going to be 2020 before we do. So everyone have a good night. Have a fantastic week. Don't forget, check in with me. Let me know how you're doing, practicing things. Check in with my meditation groups and all things of this nature. So Lisa, email us. It's soon. It definitely is soon for you, but email my office, and if the dates work for you, let's talk about it. So, because you've been on my mind a lot. So everyone, good night. Thank you. I'll see you next week here. And thank you everyone on Facebook. We will all hang out and see each other soon.